Here's a truth about women's psychology. They often crave what feels just out of reach and value what isn't easily available. So, what really happens when you decide to stop texting and calling her? When you take a step back, choosing silence over constant communication? How does she react, and what goes on in her mind? In today's video, we're diving into the stages she experiences when your attention shifts inward. We'll explore how this subtle move can change the dynamic between you, backed by relatable examples and timeless Stoic insights. So, stay with us, because what you're about to learn might just change the way you approach relationships and redefine what it means to truly value yourself in the eyes of others. Let's get started. Number 1. The quiet storm of confusion. Picture the subtle shift. It's barely noticeable at first, like the distant rumble of a storm on the horizon. One day, everything is as it always was. The predictable dance of shared texts, the familiar exchange of jokes and updates, the casual ease of knowing someone is there. But then, without warning, there's a pause. Not the ordinary kind of pause, the one that happens when life momentarily gets busy, but a deep, unsettling silence. It's a gap that stretches, filling with questions that echo louder with each passing minute. Did I miss something? Was there an unspoken rule I broke? Her mind starts replaying conversations, scrutinizing them under a magnifying glass. Each memory is dissected, every smile and sigh revisited, looking for that one moment that might explain this sudden stillness. The silence becomes its own presence, heavy and undeniable. It's not just an absence of words. It's the absence of something she hadn't even realized she depended on. And you, the man she had come to rely on, have stepped back. Not out of spite or frustration, but with a quiet resolve that speaks volumes. Your silence isn't an emotional withdrawal. It's a boundary, one built with purpose and a deep sense of self-awareness. It's an unspoken reminder that while you may offer your attention freely, it is never to be taken as an entitlement. In this space, where the noise once was, the weight of your absence becomes apparent. And here's where it shifts. In her confusion, in the moments of wondering why you haven't reached out with a flurry of texts or explanations, she begins to understand something important. Your silence isn't empty. It's rich with meaning. It's an unspoken statement that says, I won't be moved by the chaos or compelled by uncertainty. Think of this silence as a mirror you hold up, not to her, but to yourself. It reflects the confidence you have in your worth, the understanding that validation comes from within and not from the immediate feedback of others. You know that rushing to bridge the gap with reassurances would only dilute the message. True respect, true understanding, sometimes needs the space to take root. And while Marcus Aurelius might have spoken about the power over one's mind, the depth of this truth is lived now. Your silence, your decision to hold steady, is more than just a pause. It's a testament to your commitment to maintain your center, to show that even in the face of doubt or the temptation to be the first to reach out, you choose to remain whole and unwavering. Let her feel the weight of this space. Let her question it, because only in that silence, when everything else falls away, can she truly hear the value of what was there all along. Number 2, the rise of anxiety and overthinking. There comes a moment when confusion hardens into something sharper, something more consuming: anxiety. It's no longer just the quiet storm. It's the endless echo of a question that finds no answer. Picture her in this stage, a whirlwind of thoughts racing through her mind, dissecting every exchange, every glance, every inflection in your voice. Each past conversation becomes a puzzle she's desperate to solve, a riddle that pulls her further into a maze of her own making. The question gnaws at her. What happened? Where did things shift? This is not just curiosity. This is a need that starts to border on obsession. The mind, when set adrift without closure, does what it's best at. It fills the gaps. Every word you said takes on new weight. Every pause gains a hidden meaning. Was he pulling back then? She wonders. The overthinking swells, building a reality that's half true, half imagined. Every detail is put under the spotlight of her mind, illuminated, interrogated, until it burns into a replay loop. And you, the silent center of this storm, you hold your ground. It's not easy to resist the pull, the temptation to step in and ease the tension with an answer, to fill the void with reassurance. But you understand something critical. This moment, as uncomfortable as it may be, serves a purpose. This phase is where she starts to feel the true value of what she had when your presence was steady and predictable. It's where your silence transforms from an absence to a lesson. While you may not be a puppet master tugging on strings, your choice to hold back is deliberate. It's not meant to punish or provoke, but to create space for realization. It's in that gap that she begins to recognize what she's taken for granted. The laughter she shared with you, the simplicity of your daily exchanges, even the silence you once shared, now feels significant in its absence. Your stillness allows her to confront her own emotions, her own part in what she now perceives as a growing distance. This is a test, but not just for her, for you as well. In the heart of this anxiety-inducing phase, you're learning patience, self-control, and the power of restraint. It's not about withholding your voice to gain power, but holding back to preserve your self-worth. In a world that demands instant answers, instant connection, your silence stands out like a rare stone, unmoving and unyielding. You understand that your value isn't rooted in how quickly you can respond or how eagerly you can reassure. Your worth exists whether or not it's being constantly validated. And so, while she wrestles with her overthinking, you remain steady. Because you know that only by experiencing that void, by facing that uncertainty, can she begin to understand the depth of what you bring into her life. When you choose to let the silence do its work, you're giving her the opportunity to realize something essential, that comfort, trust, and connection cannot be manufactured in moments of ease, but are instead forged in moments of doubt. By not rushing to close the gap, you're embodying a truth that's often overlooked. Sometimes, the most profound impact comes not from what you say, but from what you choose not to say. Let her overthink. Let her analyze. And when she realizes that your silence is not just a tactic, but a reflection of your steady inner core, she'll begin to see what she might have overlooked before. That your value, your presence, is not a fleeting thing, but something worth holding on to. As we explore these deep and often overlooked moments of human connection, it's essential to reflect on the power of silence and presence. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where holding back your voice revealed more than speaking up? Or perhaps you've seen someone realize the value of what was once taken for granted. Share your thoughts below, or simply leave the comment. My presence is valuable, to affirm the importance of this insight. Number 3. The spark of curiosity and attempts to reconnect. And then, something changes. The anxiety, once raw and overwhelming, begins to morph. It softens around the edges and takes on a different form: curiosity. It's no longer just about the discomfort of your absence. Now it's about finding out why. What is it that caused the shift? Why did the rhythm of your interactions change so suddenly? This shift nudges her out of passive reflection and into action. Instead of replaying past moments, she starts looking outward, seeking answers. She might craft a carefully worded text, one that's casual enough to hide its intent, but pointed enough to test your reaction. Or perhaps it's a like or comment on one of your social media posts, something small but deliberate, a tap on the door to see if anyone's home. Maybe she even reaches out to a mutual friend, subtly weaving your name into the conversation, hoping for some insight. These are the tentative attempts to bridge the distance, to test whether the silence is as solid as it seems. And this, right here, is where the true challenge begins. The urge to respond, to acknowledge her subtle attempts, can be strong. It's tempting to ease her curiosity with a quick reply or a sign that you're paying attention. But remember, this is the moment where the Stoic principle of self-restraint holds its greatest power. It's not about playing games or asserting dominance, it's about maintaining your own sense of self. It's a reminder that your worth isn't defined by how quickly you can be drawn back in or how readily you can appease someone else's curiosity. True mastery lies in patience, in understanding that not every knock needs an immediate answer. As she makes these attempts, you remain the steady flame, present but unwavering, watching but not reacting impulsively. It's an exercise in holding your ground, a reflection of the inner work you've done to stay composed even when you feel the pull to react. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." This is your trial, a moment where silence becomes an active choice, a reminder that you can stand in the face of temptation and choose your response, rather than letting your response choose you. This is not a battle of wills, but a demonstration of what it means to hold on to your own power. For her, this phase is about understanding that effort goes both ways. Your silence isn't an impenetrable wall. It's a door that won't open until she decides to knock with intention, not just curiosity. It's the shift from expecting you to fill the silence to realizing she has to step forward if she wants to change it. And for you, this is a testament to the strength it takes to let things unfold without rushing in to shape the outcome. So, when that notification lights up your phone, or when you see that comment on your post, take a breath. Resist the instinct to respond immediately. Because in that pause, in that moment of deliberate stillness, you're teaching her something profound, that your attention, your time, is valuable. And if she truly seeks to reconnect, she'll need to recognize that the effort must be hers to make. Number 4, the heat of frustration and uncertainty. There comes a point when subtlety gives way to frustration. The light taps of curiosity become more forceful, shifting into a feeling she can't quite shake, the uncomfortable twinge of uncertainty mixed with powerlessness. This is the moment when she realizes that her attempts, however clever or casual, have not yielded the outcome she expected. The game of guessing and testing has not brought you rushing back, eager to explain or appease. Instead, you remain steady, a calm presence that holds its ground. The silence that once sparked curiosity now fans the flames of her frustration. It's in this stage that emotions run high. Her mind may race with conflicting thoughts. Why hasn't he responded the way I thought he would? Does he not care? Has he moved on? Each unanswered question adds to the pressure, turning moments of silence into heavy pauses that resonate louder than words. She might try again, a bit more insistently this time. A text that's more pointed, a comment that seeks your attention with subtle urgency, or a mutual friend pressed for more concrete answers. But each effort that's met with your calm, nonchalant response only deepens the uncertainty. For you, this is where the essence of Stoic wisdom truly comes alive. The temptation to react, to meet her growing frustration with reassurances or sudden explanations, will be there, pulling at the corners of your patience. But this moment calls for a deeper resolve. It's a test not just of what you can say, but of what you can withhold for the sake of maintaining your own center. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." But this isn't about enemies or victories. It's about not letting external reactions dictate your own actions. Her frustration is not your signal to rush in and soothe or explain. It's a reflection of the shift in the dynamic, proof that your silence has weight. You aren't wielding it as a tool to create tension, but as a testament to your emotional fortitude and self-respect. You've shown her that your worth doesn't hinge on playing into every emotional wave that passes through. Your value is rooted in who you are, independent of her reactions. This stage may be uncomfortable for her, but it's necessary. Frustration has a way of revealing truths that complacency conceals. It's in that discomfort that she starts to see the bigger picture, to question not just your silence, but why it matters to her so much. Your restraint, your decision to stand firm, becomes the clearest statement you can make, that you're not swayed by frustration, guilt, or the pressure to respond, just for the sake of maintaining someone else's comfort. And so, as her emotions rise and fall, you remain the steady force. Not aloof, not indifferent, but deliberate. This isn't about punishing or ignoring. It's about showing that you won't be easily bent, that your actions are guided by your own compass, not by the reactions of others. The frustration she feels is the beginning of a deeper understanding. That true connection requires more than just expectation. It requires respect, patience, and a recognition that sometimes the greatest strength lies in waiting. Let her come to that realization on her own. Let her see that while you are willing to engage, it's on terms that align with mutual value and respect. Your silence has not been for nothing. It's a demonstration that you hold your own peace above impulsive reactions. And when she understands that you won't bend simply because she's frustrated, she will begin to see you not as a reactionary figure, but as a person of depth, worth, and unwavering self-respect. Now, I encourage you to share your thoughts on what holding your own ground means to you. Leave a comment or simply write, "I choose self-respect," to affirm your commitment to staying true to yourself. Let's continue. Number 5. The turning point. Increased interest and self-reflection. As the heat of frustration cools, something else takes its place. An intense, thoughtful kind of curiosity that compels her to look inward. This stage is quieter, more introspective. The frantic search for immediate answers slows, and in its place comes a more profound sense of awareness. The absence that once stung now starts to whisper truths she hadn't considered. This is when she begins to trace back through her memories, finding moments that once seemed routine, but now feel steeped in meaning. A shared laugh, a conversation under a starlit sky, the subtle ways you showed you cared. These details now rise to the surface, each one painting a clearer picture of what you brought into her life. It's in this stage that she may scroll through old photos, her finger pausing over snapshots of shared smiles and candid moments. She might find herself rereading past messages, the ones that once made her smile without a second thought, but now evoke a deeper emotion. Every word and gesture that once seemed so common now feels rare, precious even. The realization hits slowly but surely. Your presence wasn't just another chapter in her day. It was a story she hadn't fully appreciated until it paused. And here's where your part comes in. This phase isn't about you making a triumphant return or offering explanations to ease her reflections. No, this is where your commitment to self-respect and Stoic principles holds strong. You stay patient, not out of stubbornness, but out of respect for both yourself and the space you've created. You understand that your silence is not a weapon. It's a tool for clarity, for her and for you. It allows her to step back and see not just what was lost, but what it truly meant. This is not an act of withdrawal to create longing, nor is it a tactic to manipulate. It's about embodying the belief that sometimes only distance can make the picture clear. Marcus Aurelius spoke about the power of the mind over external events. But what many overlook is that this power extends to holding space for self-reflection, not just for yourself, but for others. Your absence, then, is not a hollow void. It's a space that asks to be filled with understanding, appreciation, and growth. As she reflects, she may start to piece together what was so special about your presence. Perhaps it was your patience, the way you listened, or the quiet confidence that made her feel safe. Maybe it's realizing that your value was never in grand gestures, but in the consistency of who you were. The silence that once made her restless now pushes her to look within, to understand not just the what of your absence, but the why it holds so much weight. For you, this stage is not a call to end your silence or rush in with words to confirm her realizations. It's an opportunity to stand firm in who you are and what you believe. By not interrupting her process, you show that you trust her to come to her own conclusions, to appreciate your worth on her own terms. This is the ultimate reflection of respect, not just for her journey, but for your own. Let your silence be the statement it was meant to be. One that says, you know the value of your presence, and that it isn't something that bends at the first sign of discomfort. This isn't about playing hard to get or proving a point. It's about holding the line where self-respect and patience meet. It's a reminder that sometimes stepping back allows others to step forward with a clearer view of what they truly seek. So, while she finds herself drawn into a deeper appreciation of what you brought into her life, you remain steady. You let this stage play out, knowing that real understanding doesn't come from explanations, but from experiences that speak louder than any words ever could. In this moment, your silence isn't just quiet. It's the echo of your value, resounding and undeniable. Number 6, the moment of admittance. And now, the journey that began with confusion and traveled through anxiety, frustration, and reflection arrives at its most pivotal stage, admittance. It's in this moment that she finally comes face to face with what she's been avoiding, dancing around in the quiet corners of her thoughts. This is where the realization shifts from vague longing to sharp, undeniable clarity. She misses you. Not just the messages or the comfort of routine, but you, the person who made those moments meaningful. It's the laughter that reached her when she least expected it, the calm presence that steadied her during uncertain times. It's you in your entirety, not just the echoes you left behind. This admittance doesn't come easily. It's layered with the vulnerability of realizing that the very silence that once seemed cold now feels like a loss. And as she acknowledges this desire, she begins to understand that it was never just about wanting attention or reassurance. It was about craving connection, your specific presence, and the qualities that set you apart. It's the weight of knowing that she underestimated the depth of what was once within arm's reach. This is the moment when staying true to your principles matters most. The realization she's come to is her own. It's a journey she had to take without your interference. The temptation to acknowledge her new awareness, to step in and validate her feelings, can be strong. But a man rooted in true Stoicism understands that this is not the time to act hastily. This is when patience becomes your most valuable tool. Epictetus wisely said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And in this moment, her realizations, her thoughts, and her feelings are beyond your control. You are not here to mold her understanding or push her towards a conclusion. Your role is to remain steady, to uphold the boundaries of respect you've set for yourself. This isn't about punishing her with silence or holding back affection. It's about honoring the process and allowing her to sit with this newfound recognition. You've maintained your distance not as a means to create longing, but to preserve your own sense of self-worth. This stage, where she admits to herself that she misses you, is a powerful moment of growth for both of you. It reinforces that the effort to connect must be mutual, and that true respect is born not out of fear of loss, but out of genuine appreciation. You're not the one who rushes in to patch things up or offer solace at the first sign of vulnerability. Instead, you embody patience and self-assurance, demonstrating that while you value her acknowledgement, your worth has never hinged on it. Let her sit with this realization. Let her feel the weight of her own desire and the space it has created. This silence, this pause before the next step, is where true understanding deepens. It's where she learns that your presence is not a given, but something that holds value precisely because it is steady and sure, not easily swayed or hurried. Your silence in this phase is not just the absence of words. It's the presence of strength. It's a statement that says, "I am here, whole and complete, not because you realized my worth, but because I have always known it." And as she reflects on that, she begins to see that the connection she seeks must be built on mutual effort and respect, not just on moments of longing or realization. If you've made it this far, you understand the importance of self-respect and patience in navigating these complex moments. Now, it's your turn to reflect. I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments. Whether it's an insight you gained, an experience that resonates, or just a moment of realization. Your voice matters, and your journey deserves to be shared. Now, let's uncover the next powerful insight. Number 7, the shift from ego to vulnerability. And then, at last, the change comes. A shift that is subtle at first, but grows into something powerful. The realization of her desire, once layered with ego and masked by attempts to control the narrative, gives way to something more profound: vulnerability. This is the stage where the games stop, where pride no longer holds sway, and where she confronts her feelings not out of strategy, but out of genuine honesty. It's the moment where she lets go of the need to win or maintain an image, and instead leans into what is real. The walls that once stood as a fortress around her emotions begin to soften, making way for something much more authentic. In this phase, she might reach out with a message that carries no subtext, no hidden motives, just the truth. Or perhaps she admits to herself in quiet moments that what she feels goes beyond fleeting nostalgia. She may confide in a close friend or let down her guard in a way that surprises even her. This isn't a show. It's raw, and it's real. Vulnerability is a space that requires courage, a space where masks are set aside and genuine feelings take center stage. And you, the Stoic, find your role solidified here, not as the orchestrator of this shift, but as the constant presence who allowed it to unfold. You didn't rush in when the curiosity turned to frustration, and you didn't push her to this point with words or actions designed to elicit a reaction. Instead, you held your ground, steadfast and unwavering. Your silence was never about punishment or creating anxiety. It was about maintaining your own integrity and giving space for clarity to emerge. Recognize this shift for what it is, the birthplace of real connection. It's not found in the back and forth of ego battles or the tug-of-war of who will reach out first. Real connection flourishes in the moments when vulnerability steps in and the masks drop. This is where trust begins to rebuild, not from declarations or grand gestures, but from the rawness of admitting, "I miss you, I was wrong," or simply, "This is how I feel." Your silence, carried without bitterness or resentment, created this space. You didn't force her hand. You didn't corner her into a realization. She arrived here on her own, and that's what makes it powerful. This, my friends, is the power of holding your ground. When she steps into this space of vulnerability, she does so knowing that you have not manipulated her path to this moment. You respected her process, trusted in your own value, and understood that if a connection is worth having, it will withstand the silence and the distance. It will thrive not because it was forced, but because it was chosen, openly and willingly. So, when she comes forward, whether with an honest message, a tentative reach, or a soft acknowledgement of her feelings, meet it with the same steady calm that has guided you all along. Understand that vulnerability is a delicate offering, a moment where the ego is laid bare. Let her see that you're the same as you've always been, patient, composed, and open, but not overreaching. You're not here to gloat or prove a point. You're here to show that emotional maturity means holding space for both strength and openness. Number 8, the leap of initiative. After the introspection, the vulnerability, and the echoes of silence, the time for action finally arrives. This is the stage where she chooses to break the silence, reaching out with a message that holds more weight than any casual text or call. Maybe it's a simple, heartfelt message, "I miss you," or "Can we talk?" Or perhaps it's something more subtle, like a question that opens the door for connection. No matter the form, this moment is significant. It's the shift from passive realization to active choice, a step that acknowledges her feelings and takes ownership of them. And now, the ball is in her court. This is where she acknowledges the space that has lingered between you and decides it's time to bridge it. She isn't reaching out to play a role or adhere to ego. This is a move born from genuine intent. The silence has served its purpose, turning uncertainty into clarity and hesitation into resolve. For you, this moment calls for a response rooted in true Stoic calm. The temptation to react with immediate excitement, to mirror her eagerness, is natural, but not the path you'll choose. Your response should not be rushed or filled with emotion that disregards the growth you've both experienced. Instead, you embody grace, steady, composed, and thoughtful. This is not about holding back affection or being cold. It's about maintaining the balance that respects both your journey and hers. Remember, as a Stoic man, you understand the power of measured responses. Your worth isn't determined by how quickly you respond or how deeply you express relief. It's in the thoughtfulness of your actions. The silence that has lingered between you wasn't just an absence. It was a space where growth, reflection, and understanding were nurtured. Your reply, when it comes, should honor that space. It's not about playing it cool or detached. It's about showing that your response comes from a place of depth and consideration. A simple, honest response is enough. "It's good to hear from you," or "I'm glad you reached out." These words, while calm, are powerful. They signal that you appreciate her initiative and that you recognize the steps she's taken without rushing to erase the distance that brought you here. It's in these moments that you demonstrate your self-worth, your patience, and the respect you hold for both her actions and your own boundaries. The goal is not to fall back into old patterns where comfort becomes complacency. This isn't the time to pretend that the silence never happened, or to rush back into the familiar without acknowledging the changes that it brought. Instead, allow the connection to rebuild on new terms, with an awareness that what's shared now is different, more conscious, more real. You aren't just responding to a message, you're responding to everything that led up to it. The confusion, the anxiety, the longing, the vulnerability. Your composure shows that you value this moment, not just for the chance to reconnect, but for the journey it took to reach it. By doing so, you're reaffirming that the space created was meaningful, that the silence wasn't wasted, and that any step forward will be built on this newfound respect and understanding. So, when she reaches out, respond with warmth, but also with the steadiness that has defined you all along. Let her see that while you're open to what comes next, you do so with the knowledge that real connection is nurtured with intention, not urgency. This is where your composure shines brightest, not in indifference, but in the quiet confidence that whatever unfolds next, you are ready, grounded, and true to yourself. Number 9, the shift to reevaluation of priorities. The silence, once filled with doubt and longing, has become a catalyst for deeper reflection. In this stage, she steps back and looks at the bigger picture, not just at what she misses, but at why she misses it. This is where the most profound shift occurs, the reevaluation of her priorities. No longer is it just about attention, validation, or the comfort of predictable patterns. Now, she starts to see the difference between fleeting affection and meaningful connection. She begins to understand that what truly matters isn't the number of messages exchanged or the rush of attention, but the quality and substance behind those moments. Your silence has been more than just an absence. It's been a mirror, reflecting back what is genuinely important in relationships. It has shown her that real value isn't found in constant interaction or superficial gestures, but in the strength of character, the quiet confidence that says, "I am here, not because I need validation, but because I choose to be." As she looks inward, she starts to appreciate not just the comfort of your presence, but the strength, patience, and depth that you embody. The realization comes with a newfound respect. Respect for you, for the space you held, and for the boundaries you never compromised. This stage is the quiet payoff of your efforts. You've held your ground, not out of cold indifference, but out of a respect for yourself and what you bring to the table. This is where your commitment to your own values, your practice of patience, and your adherence to Stoic principles come to light. You've shown that true worth isn't just spoken about. It's demonstrated through action, or in this case, restraint. This phase reinforces the lesson that real connection is built on more than just words or gestures. It's forged in the understanding that respect, patience, and emotional maturity are the pillars of any meaningful relationship. She begins to see that your silence wasn't a tactic, but a testament to your own peace and self-respect. You didn't fill the space with empty reassurances or chase after fleeting comfort. Instead, you trusted that whatever was meant to be would be. and that if she came back to you, it would be out of genuine desire and understanding, not habit or need. For her, the realization dawns that attention and validation were never the prize. It was the stability and integrity that came from a person who didn't waver under pressure. The quiet strength you maintained spoke louder than any reassurance ever could. In a world filled with noise and constant feedback, your silence became the signal that true worth doesn't flinch. And for you, this stage serves as a reminder of the power in knowing your value. You didn't need to chase, you didn't need to bend, because true worth, as a Stoic knows, is unshakable. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Your strength was found in not controlling her reactions, but in mastering your own. This reevaluation of priorities, hers and yours, proves that relationships grounded in respect, patience, and genuine understanding can withstand the silences and emerge stronger. So, as she takes stock of what really matters, she sees not just what she missed, but what she now values. Someone who held steady, who respected himself enough to maintain his peace, and who, through silence, spoke volumes. And for you, this is the moment you realize that your journey was never just about her. It was about staying true to yourself. The value you held onto wasn't dependent on whether she came back. It was rooted in who you are, with or without her acknowledgement. This is the lesson that you, a Stoic at heart, have embodied all along. Number 10. Renewed appreciation and pursuit. At last, the silence has run its course, leading to a moment that holds more meaning than any word or gesture could. The space you created, once met with confusion, frustration, and reflection, has now birthed a newfound clarity in her heart. This stage is not about the absence anymore. It's about what that absence has illuminated. She sees now that the value of what she once had with you goes deeper than she ever acknowledged. It wasn't just a comfortable presence or a voice at the other end of a conversation. It was the steadfastness, the calm, the unspoken assurance that came with being close to you. When she reaches out this time, it's different. The energy has changed. This isn't a hesitant text or a careful comment. It's a message that holds sincerity and weight. It's an act not driven by the need to fill a void or by pride, but by genuine intent. She isn't just trying to reconnect, she's seeking to rebuild, to pursue something real and substantial. The silence, once an enigma, has shown her that what she had was worth not just missing, but cherishing. This is the moment where your patience finds its reward. Not in the form of validation, but in the realization that your silence wasn't just a strategy. It was a testament to your character. You never needed her acknowledgement to know your worth. That was always secure. But now, she sees it too. Your silence taught you the power of maintaining your peace and self-respect, and it has shown her the depth of what she almost let slip away. As she expresses her renewed appreciation, whether through a heartfelt conversation, an honest message, or a candid phone call, remember who you are and what brought you here. Respond, but don't rush. Embrace her intent, but maintain the composure that has been your guiding star. This is not the time to let excitement cloud the lessons learned or to fall back into old patterns without thought. Your worth is not tied to this moment or any future ones. It stands independently, as unyielding as ever. Let your response be a reflection of everything you have learned and embodied. Show her that while you are open to rekindling what was, it will be done with the same authenticity and thoughtfulness that defined your silence. The renewed appreciation is mutual, but your journey has proven that true worth is internal, untouched by external validation. So, as the silence gives way to words, let them be thoughtful. Let them be true. Because this is not just a continuation, it's a new beginning, built on the understanding that connection isn't about being ever present, but being present when it matters most. You stood firm, and now, as she pursues this new chapter with you, she does so with a deeper respect and admiration for the man who never wavered. And there you have it, the stages a woman goes through when you stop texting and calling. Each step is a powerful reminder that personal growth and true understanding come from within. It's not just about her response, but about realizing the strength in your own silence and the profound lessons it brings. Each stage teaches you about the value of self-respect, patience, and the power of maintaining your calm amidst uncertainty. Remember, silence isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about demonstrating that you are confident in your worth, that you don't need validation to know your value. If you found this video insightful, take a moment to hit the like button. It helps us reach more people who could benefit from these discussions. Don't forget to subscribe for more content that delves deep into relationships, personal growth, and Stoic wisdom. And if you think someone in your circle would gain from these insights, share this video with them. We'd love to hear from you too. Drop a comment below and let us know which stage resonated with you the most or sparked an aha moment. Your thoughts help build a stronger community, and we can't wait to engage with you in the comments. Thank you for watching, and until next time, remember, true power lies in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent.